Well, hello again. It is Mary Alessi here. Welcome to another episode of the Family Business Podcast with the Alessis, where we talk about things we can't talk about on Sundays. And today I am so privileged to have my closest friend of 30 years plus, Mory Martinez. She's with me today. We have been friends since we were very young.
Very young.
Had all our kids around the same time. Your kid's a little older than my kids, but you went first, and I got to learn a whole lot watching you.
Oh, boy.
I learned some good things.
Good.
And we've all been married a long time to our spouses, but we've also worked side by side and built this ministry.
Yep.
That's called Metro Life Church.
Yep.
You and David were a big part of it from day one.
Yes.
And you're the pillar of this ministry, along with Steve and I and all of our family. So I thought, how perfect would it be? David's been in the booth.
Yes.
David's talked a couple times, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Steve and him have shared. They're super close. We spend a lot of time together, not only in ministry, building the ministry, continuing to build it. We're going to celebrate our 25 year.
I can't even believe that. This was our 25th anniversary in Easter.
I know.
That was crazy.
When Steve said that,
Easter.
I was shocked. It didn't even dawn on me that was true.
Yeah.
Now, everything this year would be our 25th.
25th. Yeah. So cool.
25 years working together, building the vision and watching this church grow has been pretty cool, from small rooms.
What a ride it's been. What a ride it's been.
To hotel rooms.
Yeah.
To building buildings and
to renting places and then leasing, buying, and here we are.
We have so much we could talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, when I asked you to be on this podcast with me, you were like, what are we going to talk about? What could we not talk about?
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that in our lives that are so intertwined.
Yeah.
That we know God did that.
Yeah.
But we also chose to stay friends.
Yeah.
We have valued one another, and we would not want to do this life without Mory and David in it.
Can't imagine doing this life without Pastor Steve and Mary in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we've said that to each other over and over again. It's funny, yesterday I was talking to a young girl in the church. We had a meeting. You were supposed to be in that meeing, but you couldn't be in that meeting. Remember that meeting? Okay, anyway.
I was in another meeting because we have a lot of meetings around here, but okay.
Meetings. So I was meeting with her, and when the meeting was over, we started talking about her friendship. And as we were talking about it, they're both single, we were talking about it, I was just reflecting on our friendship. And it was giving me so much real revelation from a simple perspective of just be friends, just stay friends, no matter what comes your way. Don't let insecurities pull you apart. That's not our topic today.
No.
But
boy,
that's
we can
something
go down that and stay there for a long time.
All day.
Yeah.
That's something we talk about. Just marriage, we could talk about that, which we will do.
Okay.
But since we are kind of embarking on motherhood coming up, Mother's Day, I wanted to talk to you about raising kids.
Yeah.
Because you've raised 3 amazing young people who are married to amazing people. 2 are married with children. And so you have grandkids. I'm about to have my first grandchild. But I just want to say this, from the beginning of our friendship, you're about 5 or 6 years out ahead of having kids from me. Your youngest, Michael, is the closest to my kids, other than Christopher and the older 2, but there was a gap there.
Right.
And there were so many things that I just learned from your motherhood watching you, because you were an intense mom, but you were very intentional.
Right.
And I was just more of a laid back mom, and there was things about that were good, but then there were things about that was bad. Yeah. So having a good friend that I trusted, that made good decisions, really helped me say, okay, I need to put some more pressure on myself. I need to pay a little bit more close attention to a lot of things. And I've told you this before, but I wanted to say this for the podcast so that people listening understand, a good, godly female friend in your life is the greatest gift that God can give you for a lot of reasons, and not for the warm fuzzies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because those, you don't always have those.
Right.
We work together and we love each other and we get into each other's nerves and you get mad at me.
Well, we're total opposites.
Total opposites.
It
could not be more different.
I mean, if we look at each other right now, your lipstick is dark and vibrant. Mine is very pale. Barely there.
I tried to share with you. You wouldn't do it.
No.
No, it's funny.
No, we're totally opposites. But it goes both ways, Pastor
Yes.
Mary. So, yes, I'm very intentional. I'm very intense as well. I've become less intense since becoming a grandmother.
Yes.
And
grandmommyhood has been very good for you.
It has been very good for me. But also at the same time, it's so great to have a friend that is about fun.
Yeah.
So where I need order, and we just recently had this conversation, I need a plan. And
Right.
even with raising my children and getting my children to a certain place, I always had a plan to get there.
Right.
And my personality is I like to look at the end. What do I want my grown kids to look like? And I use this little strategy for anything I'm doing in life. I look at the end and I say, this is what I don't want to happen. And what can I do on this path to make sure that I get there pretty much so?
Right.
Because this path is never perfect, right?
No.
We're going to hit some bumps. We're going to make some huge mistakes as parents. But there's nothing more valuable than having somebody doing it with you that has the common faith part, which absolutely that's important. But maybe do it differently so you can learn from each other.
That's right. But the key thing is you could be different in personalities, but you have to have the same values and expectations.
Yes.
So we've always wanted the same thing for our children. That's why they've been raised almost like cousins. They've been close, especially your youngest, Michael, was really like my fifth child.
Yeah.
And mine made you have 7 kids, right?
Yes.
So we watched each other's kids, picked each other's kids up from school.
Yeah.
You helped me homeschooling once in a while if they needed it, if they were around the church. You are still they'll tell you you're more like their aunt than you are my friend. You're a very vital part of their life. As a matter of fact, when Stephanie met her husband, she said, I know that he's the one, but I need to make sure that David and Maury feel the same way.
Yeah.
And that was very important to her because you had a hand in raising her.
Yeah.
So she wanted to get the thumbs up from you guys, and that really mattered to her.
Oh, that's so sweet.
But those are the benefits, though, of when you decide you're going to hang in there with your friends that have the same values. And I would say, again, we're starting this podcast. We're going to go somewhere and talk about actual parenting, but you do need a village. You do need people with your value system to help you raise your kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tell the story really quick about Christina when she was about 10 years old. Your middle child. You're the one where you asked me to talk to her. We were in the pool at my house
about her weight.
She was struggling with her weight.
Okay, so my Christina was your Gabby. Sorry, Gabby.
Yes.
So every time we would go into the dressing room at Old Navy or Kmart or wherever we were shopping at the time, we would always leave in tears because the girls went through that phase between 8 and 12 where they gained some weight. Yeah. And I was at my wit's end. Because I didn't know how to help her any longer.
Right.
So I came to you and I said, Pastor Mary, I need you to help me with Christina. And you said something so profound to her that was silly at the time, but she took it because she couldn't receive it from her mom.
That's right.
And it sounds silly. I'm going to repeat it.
It's very silly. Go ahead.
You have to grow wide before you grow tall. She was like, okay, I went wide and I'm going to go tall.
You're an oak tree, Christina. You have to go wide. And you're going to
And because you said it and it wasn't, and you were somebody important to me.
That's right.
She received it and she it wasn't such a bad, every time Old Navy was like, she had that in the back of her head and
I'm just wide right now.
She got there, you know. They both got there.
We were talking about this morning about Gabby, because Gabby her personality was, okay, I know I'm chubby. I'm 10 and I'm chubby. And it bothers me, but it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
Because I really would rather just eat cookies.
Yeah.
And so we have so many.
I remember that.
Oh my gosh.
She didn't cry as much Christina cried.
Oh, no.
Gabby chose. I love those cookies.
Those Chips Ahoy cookies.
Yeah.
No, the Nestle's. That when they started making those already prepackaged that were already cut.
Yeah.
That's what ruined all of us.
Yes,
that was when the world
changed. The break
changed.
and bake.
The break and bake.
Yeah, yeah.
And the brownies.
Yeah, they're from the devil.
They're evil, and that's when all of us and all of our kids got fat.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
This is true.
But, the reality is I helped you in seasons with your kids. You have helped me in seasons, and it doesn't stop it hasn't stopped.
No, and it truly is all about seasons because
Yeah.
we all reach that season.
Right.
Not thinking that we are prepared to tackle it. So whether it's toddlers, preschool, going into elementary, leaving your kids for the first time with the teacher, sleepovers, whether you do that or not, preteens, teens, young adulthood, you all go in it afraid and feeling that you're not equipped.
Oh.
And I think that is just so important. So you were 5 years behind me, and we fed off each other. And if there was a question, we would always ask. But it's also important. It was important to me to have somebody a few years ahead of me.
Absolutely.
And not that they did it perfect, but if they did it really bad, I made sure I didn't do that.
That's right.
So I was watching everything, the good and the bad outcomes.
Sure.
And if they did it good, I made sure I leaned on and asked, hey, how did you get there?
That's right.
And that's so important because we feel like we need to, as moms, we can't ask those questions, but we absolutely need to show that we don't have all the answers.
That's right.
We don't know how to keep this together, but if we lean on somebody behind you,
that's good,
in front of you, and all with the same faith base, you're going to be okay.
Absolutely. And let's talk about how you raise your kids, because I think it's important for people to know that all three of your kids, very high level of education, Ivy Leaguers.
Yeah.
And you worked.
God.
It was God. It was God. And
God.
And I remember over the years, you made a statement one time to me about your Facebook page. You want to tell everybody what you said?
So there was a season. Well, first of all the kids, education was very important to us, and making sure that the kids. One other thing that we instilled in them, whatever they put their mind to, if it was just for a season, they always had to complete that season.
Right.
So I think that's a big issue with parenting today.
Yes.
We let our kids try a whole bunch of things, and if they don't like it, they could just drop it like if it was nothing.
Right.
But if you committed to this art class, or if you committed to this club, this math club, you had to see it to the end.
Good.
That was our rule in our family. You couldn't come in 3 weeks later say, I don't like it, right? So,
which is brilliant, by the way.
Yeah,
Parents need to write that down. That's important.
It shows commitment and that you're willing to finish something.
That's right.
If you didn't like it, it's okay. We will never go back to it again.
That's right.
But you tried it and you completed it to the end, right? And I could even tell a story of Christina thought she was going to be a doctor at one point. And we took this into her college.
Yeah.
She's now at Princeton University, and she's taking pre-med classes, and she's 3 classes in crying every class.
Wow.
And I'm like, girl, you only got 3 more classes. You're going to do it. You're going to keep crying. You're going to finish. So you have that to fall back on.
That's right.
And she did it. So, but yes, education was always important. And I think that our kids got to Ivy League schools fully paid because of our faithfulness to God.
Right.
I mean, there's no other reason. David and Mory Martinez from a small island in Key West, Florida, grown, being raised poor, barefoot all the time. There's no way that their children could get to an Ivy League school if it wasn't for God.
Because you and David weren't Ivy Leaguers.
No, we weren't. We're FIUers.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So we were very proud.
That's
and
right.
FIU was a good school. It served us well. But we just always made sure they were at church on Sunday. Always made sure they were at church on Wednesday. They served alongside of us. Serving was a family ordeal.
Yeah.
So we did children's ministry. And if we did that, that meant that they were going to be part of picking out the props, picking out the lessons, picking out games that they thought was fun. We included them. And then they did their discipline part, and God did the rest.
That's right.
It was amazing.
Which is so important for people to understand, because you had made a statement one time to me, feeling really guilty about putting all that on Facebook.
Yeah. So, when your son goes to Johns Hopkins, I feel guilty. Listen, I'm struggling right now just saying this on a podcast because I feel like it's boastful. And that was my whole issue. I'm always dealing with, I was raised Catholic, so I'm always dealing with that
Catholic guilt.
That guilt.
Yes,
I shouldn't be saying that. That's prideful. But Nick got his master's from Johns Hopkins University,
That's
right?
Amazing.
And then Christina went and got her undergrad degree from Princeton University, fully paid for. And that Michael right now is in a top 10 law school. So How that happens can only be God. But
After after graduating from UM,
And
right?
so you feel guilty, like, oh, I'm at Princeton. I'm like, should I put that post up? And
Yeah.
oh, I'm this is happening at Johns Hopkins, or Nick just won another award. Nick
Yeah.
was racking in awards. Like, it
know.
was abnormal. He was that kid that was taking all the trophies home.
Yeah.
But I had this conversation with you. How do I not display the goodness of God?
Yeah.
I did not do that. I am not that smart. Come on, you know me. I have a good mind, but I am not that kind of
Yeah.
mind. And how that happened, it was all God. And how do I not brag on God
That's right.
in those moments?
That's
So
right.
I
And
had to
you
get over
got
it.
over that. You got over
helped
that.
me get over it. You told me get over it.
Get over it, because
Yeah.
it's not bragging when you didn't kill yourself trying to get your kids to this level of education.
No, I
But
didn't.
you just did what you and David do, which was, you're going to be good kids. Education is going to be first. You're going to get good grades.
Right.
And then God was partnered in that.
Yeah.
And because of your faithfulness, this was the vision and the plan for your children.
Yeah.
So all of my kids, not one went to an Ivy League school.
Yeah.
You know, they've all graduated local schools here, universities. They've done well.
Mhm.
But I didn't look at your life and say, I'm a failure because my kids aren't going.
No.
That was never a thought, because you had a vision for God had a plan
Yes.
for your family
Yes.
and your children.
Yeah.
And then, of course, their own individual plans, as he had for mine.
Right.
And that's one of the things I think young moms today, I know we struggled you struggle in the beginning
Yeah.
because the stress is so great
Mhm.
that somehow you're supposed to get your kids to a certain place and you're supposed to know how to do it.
Right.
And you don't.
Right.
But you really have to rely on good values,
Mhm.
be faithful to good values. And if you're not in a church, you and I both know how important a good Christian environment is.
Yeah.
So go to church, get
Yeah.
your kids involved in church,
Yeah.
get your kids seeing you giving back community service
Yeah.
to the church,
Yeah.
because they become well-rounded people
They do.
and they learn good principles to get good grades.
Yeah.
And then God partners with you. But one of the things that makes it difficult as a mom is the comparison game.
Oh, I was just going to say the judgment. We are
Yes.
so horrible as women when it comes to
Terrible.
that. And then even worse when it comes to parenting. So
Yeah.
it would have been very easy for me to judge you that you were so, oh, if they get the homework done, it's great. If they don't, they don't. I mean, there were times I thought you were out of your mind.
I probably was.
But you probably thought I was out of my mind, that I would just
little bit.
make sure that the
Mhm.
kids got their homework done. But
Yes.
we got over that in the friendship, and
That's
we
right.
grew from that, and we realized we both had different judgment,
Different paths.
different paths, not
That's it.
judgments, right?
That's right.
Different paths for our children, and to take out that, find yourself another mom. And I to all the young moms out there,
Yes.
find yourself another mom that's different from you.
Yeah, it's true.
And she's going to bring the best out of you.
Yep.
You're going to bring the
Yep.
best out of her.
Yep.
And don't judge her path,
That's it.
because her path is different.
Well, you made me be a lot more, okay, although I feel like ministry is our future for our kids if they so choose. So, it's easy to go, well, so what school they go to? Doesn't matter.
Right.
But that's not fair either.
Yeah.
Push them to the best limit you can push them to. And if they're musical and you start seeing those gifts in, just be a
Right.
good mom to make sure you're raising well-rounded, happy kids
Right.
with good characters.
Yeah. Be good steward of the gifts that God has given
That's
your
right.
children.
That's it.
That's what it is. And where they end up at the end is going to be in the godly place.
That's right. That's
because
right.
God gave them those gifts. You're not forcing those gifts on them. And everybody has different gifts. So
Everybody has different gifts. I remember when Stephanie and Michael were born, they're 5 days apart.
5 days.
My second and your third.
Mhm.
So we were pregnant at the same time.
Yep.
And that's a whole nother podcast
Yeah,
to
it
talk
sure
about
is.
infertility. We'll talk about that another time. But because you were there for me in that season, we have a really sweet story. Anyway, nope.
Don't go there.
Don't go there. We're going to stay here. But I remember when they were in car seats, newborn,
Mhm.
Stephanie was just way out ahead of things physically.
Yes.
She was a monkey climbing up
Yes.
everything. And Michael would just look at her and didn't even walk.
Yeah. No. She was walking at 8 months, though.
She was walking at 8 months. She was running at
amazing.
9.
Yes.
She was. I saw a video on a reel today of a baby that was literally, the mom built a gymnast bar over her crib, and she was holding on with her feet doing backflips.
Oh, that was
It
Stephanie.
was like, why didn't I
Yeah,
think of that?
yeah.
My daughter
And
should have been in
Michael was
gymnastics.
just sitting in the car seat, observing the world, smiling all the time. Stephanie was screaming and moving.
Never stopped.
And yeah, that was okay.
And there was a moment where you were like, should I have Michael tested? Because he's just not
Yeah.
walking.
He smiled too much.
He was like, I'm not crazy like her. But as a young mom, it's easy to think, oh, my baby should be doing.
Oh, yeah.
My baby should be where this baby is.
Yeah.
It's where it starts.
That comparison thing is very dangerous.
Starts in day one.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's such a wide range of where children should reach a milestone.
That's right.
And we do that, like I said, for all things in our life as women.
That's
but
right.
when other people's children have accomplished a milestone that your child hasn't, you start feeling like you're a failure or something is wrong, or you should be running to a doctor and find a diagnosis.
That's
but
it.
that is not the case.
No.
God has created us to be very unique in reaching those milestones, and
Michael was just
they're going to reach them when they reach them.
He was already using his brain.
Yes, he was already using his brain.
He was thinking.
Yeah.
And I can remember looking at Stephanie going, I don't know, because that's just not normal.
Yeah, exactly.
What she's able to do isn't normal. So I wouldn't compare, because Christopher never did that.
Yeah.
My other two girls never did that.
Yeah.
She just did. But if we had continued to compare, first of all, it could have hurt our friendship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which God created our friendship, brought us together so that we could help raise our kids, because he had a plan for us as friends, which is such a beautiful thing. But it's a trap you can fall into, and it starts there, but then it can just grow.
Yeah.
So then as they got older and Michael was like 10, 11, 12, they were at my house all the time. I remember one time he complained to you because he said, I can't do my homework at their house anymore, Mom.
No, I got a better story.
Okay, go ahead. Tell it.
Let's tell the Disney World story.
Oh, no,
So we
5
take
years old.
we take the youth group. At some point, David and I were also helping with the youth group, and we took them to Night of Joy. And I tell you, you are in charge of Michael. He's like 4 or 5 years old. And you have Chris, you have Stephanie and Michael, about 4 or 5 years old. Then you have Lauren. I don't know if Gabby's around yet. But you're taking them all through Disney World.
Now, I'm from Orlando and I know Disney.
But wait a minute. I don't even think Lauren was there, but that's besides the point.
No, it was just the two
I think
of
we
them.
left her.
They were
them
both
home.
about 4 years old, or they were somewhere.
And Michael got so frustrated with you because you would not follow the map. He's watching the map and you're like, oh, let's go here.
So
Let's go
mad.
there. And at the end of the night, you come to me and like, here's your son.
I can't take it.
I want to have fun at Disney World. He wants me to follow a map. And he was 5 years old.
He was so little. Well, first of all, I had to work to not be insulted by a 5-year-old.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I lived in Orlando. Okay. I know Disney like the back of my hand. You go the opposite way when you go to Disney to beat the crowds.
Yeah.
And he was just, I've never seen anything like it in my life. It was like, I have gone to Disney with an old man.
Yeah, you did.
Who has to follow rules.
Right.
Okay. And you've gone with an adult who's more like a child. Who does not like rules.
Well, you gave him back that day. I did not take offense.
I'm done.
I laughed. And I'm like, well.
But see, those are the things where they were just different.
Yeah.
So for us to compare the two and think that at any point they were supposed to be on the same page, they weren't. And that's the trap that we would love to avoid young moms from falling into. If their kid, at 2 misbehaves or talks back, your kid has its own personality.
Yeah.
And they've got
Well,
gifts.
you should address that if they talk back.
You should absolutely address that.
Now, that's something we have very much in common.
We don't put up with that.
Nope.
No, we're both very strong moms when it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that also goes into adulthood.
Yeah.
So, as we talk about this season, now our kids are all young adults.
Yeah.
We should say half are married if we add them all up.
Yeah, half, right?
And
3 and 3.
Yeah, and you're about to
4 and 3. Sorry, there's 7. My bad. Go.
There's 7. You're right. And you're about to become a grandmother for the first time.
Yeah.
So super exciting. But then again, it's the comparison, and you just got to be careful that we all are just encouraging our kids to be what God has created them to be, and to be good, God-fearing human beings. So,
well, I remember. I don't know how much time we have left because I want to move into this thing. We got good. So I wanted to. Because if our kids listen to this, it's okay because we're going to be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when Christopher and Stephanie were both marrying their significant others, because they both got married in 1 year, right? So I had 2 weddings in 1 year.
That was insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
I'm still picking up hair off the floor from the stress of that. But I remember you and David telling Steve and I one night, man, it doesn't, the kids, just like it was at Christmas time when you had to make sure each kid got 5 presents, it doesn't stop.
No.
The competition can be fierce, even though they don't want that to be true.
Right.
if you go to one's house, you got to go to the other.
Oh,
What
yeah.
you do for one grandkids, you got to do for the
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
And you really kind of have to watch that yourself. So kids, if y'all are listening, sorry, but you put us under pressure.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's another level of pressure, honestly.
It's a whole nother thing.
A toddler you could throw in a room and, say you're in timeout and stop having a pity party. But when a 22-year-old is coming to you and saying, oh, our sister's about to have a baby. Thank you for being sweet to us all these years. We know that we're no longer your children. Has that just happened to you?
That just
this
happened
week?
to me. When they thought she was going into labor, they were like, bye, Mom and Dad.
Yeah,
good knowing you.
Yes.
Because they know.
So they're keeping score.
Yeah.
That's the big thing,
Yeah.
even as adults. But you know what? That sort of keeps us in check.
It does.
Because certain personalities of our adult children attract us. So I
Right.
have a
It's
very
true.
distinct personality of 3 different children with very distinct personalities. So I'm attracted to each one of them for a different reason.
Yeah.
But I can see that we can get caught to staying with Christina's my only daughter.
Right.
She's like my best friend and my sister.
That's right.
And the older we get, that's going to be even more intense. But I could see where I need to now be a little more nurturing
Right.
of a relationship that's a little different. But I also love this about Nick. He is the order person, the making sure that everything is done and prepared. Man, I love that about that kid, right?
Yes, yes.
So, and I have to be intentional about those sweet moments that I have with Christina that are so natural to have it with him. And the same thing with Michael. So
Say something about Michael because he's going to hear this
Yes,
and go, you
oh,
didn't say
he's-
anything about
yes,
me.
we just talked to him about Disney World.
Oh, we did. Sorry, Michael, you got yours.
No, so same thing it goes with Michael.
Yeah.
So you have to be intentional, but that keeps you in check that they are keeping score.
No, it's true.
Actually, it does. It's a good thing. You
It
feel
is
like it's
good.
pressure.
Right.
But, I do appreciate that. Like, okay, they are keeping score. They are watching. I'm so ADD about this. I don't know if that's the right word. But I count how many posts I do of my kids and grandkids to make sure they're equally represented on my social media page.
Oh, that's another level.
That's another level.
Wow. Okay. You and I need to go to lunch and I need to take some notes here because it's true.
Yeah, because you don't want one to look like it's being favored more than the other.
No.
But it's not a bad thing.
It's not.
Yeah.
We need to come back though and talk about several things. But one thing I would love for us to talk about in another podcast is just elderly moms dealing with siblings. Your mom passed last year.
Yeah.
And so my mom's still alive. But one thing in regards to this conversation, there's 3 of us, my sisters and I, and my mom lives on the same property as my twin sister. So they're together all the time.
Right.
And she's at the age where she just can't play the fair game anymore. She's older and it's really hard.
Right.
So it's on me
Yes.
to now go and pursue her and spend that quality time with her to make it fair.
Yes.
So it's funny how
It switches.
it switches.
It all flips, actually. It all flips.
Does.
Yeah.
And that's a whole podcast.
Yes, it
just
is.
dealing with our elderly parents because once they're gone,
Yeah.
you really do start going through the Rolodex of memories. Did I do enough? Was I there enough? Was I, all
so
that
you
happens.
become the mother.
Yeah.
That's the big switch, that flips. And we had that in common.
Yeah.
So our siblings lived with our moms, and we're the only ones living out of town.
That's right.
So there was a lot of pressure and making sure that I was doing my part
Yeah.
to, spend incredible quality time with her. So, and I know you feel that pressure too, but that is a whole nother podcast.
Which we really need to talk about
Yeah, we
because
do.
dealing with elderly parents, our parents are living older
Yeah.
and we're living older. And it's just a seasonal change. This generation is different than our parents' generation.
Right.
So anyway, you see why we could talk for hours and hours?
Wow, that went by really fast.
I told you, it's super simple.
Yeah, we could do this for hours.
I know.
We could get 5 podcasts today.
In a heartbeat. That's why Steve and I love this room
That's
because you
awesome.
just really get to talk and it helps a lot of people, Maury,
Good.
from especially young moms today.
Yeah.
There's so much stress and pressure.
Yeah.
We had it, but we didn't have Pinterest. We didn't
No.
have Joanna Gaines telling us our houses were
Yeah,
ugly.
yeah.
We just
Thank God we didn't have
thank
any of that.
God.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would factor that in
Yeah.
to
No.
what we already had.
No,
I feel
no.
sorry that for young couples that feel like if they don't have that cute fig tree in the corner, their
Yeah.
house is ugly.
I know.
And if it's white or old,
I know.
let all that go.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life and raise your kids.
Yes.
And
have
just
fun doing it.
Have a
Be
good
balanced.
time.
That's the big theme of today, right?
Yeah.
Balance is key in everything. So
And-
be balanced. Find yourself an opposite friend.
That's it.
That's also a mom, and
And get
just
through it together.
Have a good time.
That's right. Thanks for being on
so
here.
fast this season.
Okay, one last thing.
Go.
Because you were telling us before you got in, we have to bring this up.
Oh gosh.
Because I told you your hair looked great.
Oh yes.
This is another podcast conversation about marriage. The things you
Is
never
this a
think.
free podcast?
Yes. I'm setting up the pre's.
Okay, so my friend, Pastor Mary Alessi, told me yesterday at 4:00 I was going to be doing this today.
Oh, come on.
I like a plan. I like
Jesus.
to know. I even had to ask you for talking points, but I had grays in my hair and I wasn't planning to color my hair till next week. So last night we had an appointment, and on the way home I told David, I need to stop at Publix to get hair color. I'm getting in a podcast booth and I can't go to the hair salon. I don't have a 12-hour notice, right? So my husband, I promised him since COVID. Did your husband do your hair during COVID?
No.
Wow.
I wore a hat.
Oh, you wore a hat. No, I made David color my hair.
I have 3 daughters at my house.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so then last night I told David, I promised you that I would never ask you again. And David colored my roots. And you paid such a good compliment to him today.
It was beautiful.
Because he did a great job.
David, you did a good job, sir.
He's a keeper.
He's a keeper.
Yes.
At this point, you can't give him back. It's been too long.
That's it.
But he did a good job on your hair. Anyway, all that being said, I just wanted to throw that out there because that was funny. Little funny piece of information. Thank you for joining us. And stay tuned. Keep listening. Go back and listen to episodes you have not listened to. All about family, all about raising kids. We have a whole lot more coming for you. We hope it has been a blessing for you today. And don't forget, share, like, and make sure you leave a comment if you like this episode. Bye, guys.
Hey there, if you enjoyed this episode of the Family Business Podcast with the Alessis, then you'll want to know we've got more insight, more encouragement, more great conversations that we can have on Sundays, and even some surprises coming your way. So you want to make sure you subscribe to our channel and watch one of these next videos here next, because remember, family is everybody's business.